Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a GHC student of about a year. I've graduated recently from Rome High School. I'm an honor student, so I've been very motivated throughout school, and I would like to get this part-time job to help me through my education.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how many years you worked for your last employer.
I have actually not been employed before. This would be my first job, so I see this as a really good opportunity to learn a lot more skills that could help me later on.
Okay, so why do you think you're qualified to work at GHC?
One thing I'm really good at would be communicating with other people. I feel like I have a real knack for that, and I get really motivated when I'm in these kind of outreach for people similar to myself. And in addition, I do have a lot of computer skills that would be very applicable to this job.
Okay, thanks so much. Tell me about what you feel like your biggest weakness is.
The biggest weakness, I feel like when I was a bit younger, I had a lot of problems with motivating myself, especially early on in high school. And I really worked to overcome this through challenging myself through harder stuff. So I feel like I've gotten a bit more of a grasp on it, but I need to challenge myself with harder things. And I feel like this job can definitely challenge me and push me to be a lot better.
Okay, and so you talked about your biggest weakness. What do you feel like your biggest strength is?
I feel like one of my biggest strengths is my ability to find motivation for certain things at the same time, which is kind of weird because it seems a bit counterintuitive. But when I find things that I really enjoy, I'm able to motivate myself really hard. And with the kind of outreach program, with the kind of people I would be interacting with, I really feel like this job would give me those kind of opportunities to really enjoy it and be motivated by it.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Well, I hope to be graduated from GHC, either moving on to another university or moving on further with other jobs. And I definitely feel like no matter what, if I get this job, it'll definitely help me further either one of these with my education, through these skills, through communicating with other people and recruiting, or with jobs just by measure of it being a job and the unique computer skills and communication I will need for this job.
Okay. So tell me, so out of all the candidates that we have, why should we hire you? What makes you special?
I'm very motivated for this kind of opportunity. As I've said before, these kind of like communication and outreach really appeal to me, as it's finding opportunities for people such as myself. As I said earlier, I really had trouble motivating myself until I found what I was passionate about, and finding that kind of passion with other people is really a good feeling, and I feel like with my personal experience, I know what they're going through, and can help them find what they like at college.
Okay. And tell me a little bit more about why you want this particular job.
Like I said before, it really gives me this unique opportunity, and as well as paying for my tuition, which is a huge benefit, which I would much like, and it gives me this huge opportunity to outreach, as well as still being flexible enough for me to continue my studies with Georgia Highlands College.
Okay. Tell me about your experience with social media.
I have a lot of experience with different social medias. I've never used them in a business setting before, but I've used Instagram, Snapchat, I've used Twitter before, and I'm pretty good at using all of them. And I feel like no matter the social media, I'm flexible enough, and I've also used a computer for most of my life, so I'm very fluent in how to use it, and I would be able to adapt pretty quickly if we need to move on to a different platform.
Okay. Tell me about the major challenges you have faced and how you've dealt with them.
Well, I talked about before my lack of motivation and how that's kind of shaped my life. One example I could provide is I play a lot of music. In high school, I played bassoon in the band, and we have auditions for a special type of honor band, and I really had to, like, when I was going through that time in my life where I had to find my motivation, like, that was something that really got to me and was able to make me feel really passionate about it, and overcoming that was big part of my life and felt really good.
Okay. And similar in a similar vein, what accomplishments have given you the most satisfaction?
Well, as I said before, but another example I could provide was during my last year of high school, I took a calculus class, which was very personally challenging for me, as most of the time I had not really dealt with math classes that were as hard for me. And really going into a class like this was very different from what I experienced before, and that kind of made it a lot better because it was a lot harder and made me push myself a lot more, and I kind of just couldn't just sit back. I had to actively engage with the class and really learn the material and not just sit back and kind of slack off. It really made me have a lot more respect for math in general.
Okay, tell me about how you would react if you had to complete a task that made you dissatisfied with your job.
It depends on the situation a lot, I would say. If it was something just unpleasant, I would do it. It might not be the happiest, but I would try not to be rude. If it was something like, I probably wouldn't bring it up with my boss or anything, unless it was very serious. But unless I had a serious moral I feel like it was really morally wrong or something, then I probably wouldn't put too much emphasis on it. So I would most likely just do the task and keep living life.
Okay. So how would you address that with management?
If I felt like there was something really wrong, I would first try to go to my boss and try to respectfully put my concerns through, and if they seemed to not respect it or weren't really sharing the same views, I would not like to take another route, but if I felt like it was something serious enough, I would.
Okay. How would you approach working on a long-term project that needed to be completed by the end of a quarter?
Well, first thing I would do is I'd like to set benchmarks throughout the quarter, because I want to make sure that we're getting through certain parts of the task. So I'd set goals where we need to be at this part by this time, and if not, then we definitely need to speed it up by the next part. So to give us goals to make sure that we're staying on it and don't put it off until later and realize that we're really behind. In addition, we need to split up into different groups that would better be fit for certain goals. So people were better at filmmaking, they would be filmmaking for whatever the project would be, and if people are better at writing, then they would be at the writing portion. Just throwing examples out there. And these people would come together at these benchmarks and see where they're at, and if certain people aren't getting certain tasks done, then those need to be reevaluated and maybe groups need to be moved around a bit. But that is how I would do it,
Okay, well,
groups.
Thank you so much. And do you have any questions for me?
What do you like about this job?
Well, I really enjoy working with the students. Love GHC and I've worked here for a number of years, and I really, our students are great, and I really enjoy working with the students. So probably that would be my favorite thing. And I also enjoy working with my coworkers. I have great coworkers here at GHC.
All right. Since this is a part-time job, I was wondering, how would it interfere with my normal classes? Would there be...
Well, since it's a part-time job, it's a very flexible job. We do have expectations for hours worked per week, but we can definitely work with you in terms of if you have heavy work week during classes, especially if we know ahead of time, we can flex out some hours, and you could work a heavier week before, and then have some time off to maybe do papers or midterms or finals and things like that. So we're very respectful of your work at GHC. So
that definitely sounds good. Also, there's a lot of money on the line. The paying for the tuition is a big commitment. I was wondering, is there any specific expectations you have, because that is a large sum of money, and
Right, and we would definitely make those very clear to you. You would have very clear guidelines for what we expected you to accomplish, you know, on a weekly basis, and you would have a direct supervisor who would make that kind of thing clear to you. You know, we basically want someone to honor regular hours, and again interact with our new student recruits. So you know, that the commitment would definitely be being on time, you know, doing the work we assigned you, and you know, doing the hours that you're needed to do.
Right. Well, I think those are all my questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Shane.
Thank you for having me.